Alright, well, my name is Tyler Baker, and I'm doing my presentation today on are there good reasons for infants to watch television? Interest comes from personal interest. I have a sister who's 8 years younger than me, and I know growing up I didn't really think it helped me, but my parents would always sit in front of the TV and watch like Dora the Explorer. That's kind of the example I'm going to use throughout the presentation because that's what I'm most familiar with. It relates to our class in Griggs through the developmental stage chapter, which is chapter 7. And my opening statement is electronic media helpful to infants. There are some credible people out there that say that there is benefits to watching educational shows. The con arguments kind of relate around the cognitive stage of infants, like they're not developed enough yet. Before I do all my research, I believe that electronic media does not help infants as like a learning tool or anything. My first pro argument, this was a quote article. It was pretty much just a bunch of testimonials from like parents from watching their kids and stuff. And this is kind of how I got the Dora one. This is a specific quote from a parent. They didn't give the name. Out of the blue, my son counted to 5 in Spanish. I knew immediately that he got it from Dora. So yeah, in the whole article, it was just giving testimonials of like how they thought their kids learned from like the television shows in Dora counting to 5 in Spanish. My next pro argument, it was from a researcher, Andrew N. Meltzoff, and he gave an experiment to young children. First, he would have the children watch. He would have them watch an actual person disassemble this dumbbell-looking shape, and then there would be a 24-hour delay, and then he would present them with that dumbbell shape, and then time how long it took him to put the dumbbell back together. And then with another group, he took children and had an actual person there with the dumbbell, but not on the television, and had a 24-hour delay, and then had to disassemble it. On average, children perform the task faster watching the person on the television than the actual person there doing it. My next pro argument, researchers Calvert and Kotler, their experiments were designed for younger children, and their studies include asking children to watch educational shows, and then they didn't say how many weeks, but they said in weeks ahead they would ask them to recall information that they watched from the shows. And from their research, it showed that it was helpful for third grade and lower students that they actually recall the information. And once you got above the third grade range, it was kind of all a blur. I'll start with next are my con arguments, and this researcher stated that human-on-human interaction was the best, and this article studies done that said that children learn better from human-on-human interactions. But he also did some research, and it showed that children under 2, if they were sat in front of a television and kind of watched TV for more than like 4 hours a day, that he saw a significant increase in ADHD disorders later on in life. This study was done by the AAP, which is the American Academy of Pediatrics, and this showed the short term for kids 2 and younger shows significant decrease in cognitive development, and their argument was that in states that watch excessive television had a deficient in cognitive development because when you're an infant you're not completely developed in your mind yet, so when you're trying to watch, and the receptors in your eyes, they're sending it to your head, to actually process what's going on in the television, they don't know what's going on in the television yet. So it's not really helpful for infants to watch television if they don't know what's going on. My last counter-argument, kind of the same thing. Children under 2 not learn from things on electronic media. It stated that they don't know what's going on television until about ages 4 or 5, preschool age, pretty much. That's when they know what's going on in the television. So for infants under 2, it's not helpful again because they're not cognitively developed yet. In conclusion, through all the studies that I researched, there's definitely a lot more bad things for watching infants do television because they're not cognitively developed yet in their head, and they don't know what's going on. The ADHD disorders, all of that. So there's more evidence for the negative side of this argument. References? Any questions?